The morning started like any other Tuesday for Marcus Webb. He sat at his desk in the Global Communications Center, sipping his coffee and checking the daily reports from space monitoring stations around the world. The large screens around him showed the usual data stream, satellite positions, radio signals, and the endless chatter of space traffic. Marcus had worked at the center for 15 years. His job was simple: monitor communications from space missions and relay important messages to the right people. It was quiet work, and he liked it that way. No drama, no surprises, just steady signals from familiar sources. At exactly 9:47 a.m., everything changed. The first alarm came from the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Australia, then Chile, then Russia. Within minutes, every major observatory on Earth was sending the same urgent message. Something massive was approaching Earth. "Marcus, get over here," shouted his supervisor, Dr. Helen Torres, from across the room. "We've got a situation." Marcus hurried to the main console where Helen was staring at a screen full of data. The numbers made no sense. The object was huge, easily 10 times larger than the biggest space station humans had ever built. It was moving at impossible speeds, then suddenly slowing down as it approached Earth's orbit. "Is it a meteor?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. "No," Helen replied, her voice tight with tension. "It's artificial. It's a ship." The room fell silent except for the beeping of alarms and the hum of computers. Everyone knew what this meant: first contact. The moment humans had dreamed about and feared for decades. Within an hour, the ship had positioned itself in a stable orbit around Earth. It made no aggressive moves, sent no weapon signatures, and caused no interference with Earth satellites. It simply waited. The world's governments went into emergency session. Military forces were put on high alert. Scientists worked around the clock to analyze the ship's structure and technology. The media went wild with speculation and fear, but the ship remained silent. For 3 days, humanity waited. Every major communication array on Earth was pointed at the vessel, trying to establish contact. Messages were sent in every language, mathematical sequences, musical patterns, and scientific formulas. The ship received them all but gave no response. Then on Friday morning, something unexpected happened. Marcus was eating lunch at his desk when his personal communication terminal lit up with an incoming signal. This was strange. His terminal only received routine work messages and personal calls. The signal indicator showed it was coming from space. "Helen," Marcus called out, his voice uncertain. "I think I'm getting a message from the ship." Helen rushed over, along with several other technicians. The signal was strong and clear, but it wasn't coming through the main communication arrays. It was coming directly to Marcus's personal terminal. "That's impossible," Helen muttered. "How would they know your personal frequency?" Marcus activated the message. The screen flickered, then showed a face that made everyone in the room step back in surprise. The being on the screen was clearly not human, but it was beautiful in a way that was both alien and familiar. Its skin had a soft, golden tone that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its eyes were large and kind, colored like amber honey. Its features were delicate but strong, with high cheekbones and a gentle mouth. When it spoke, its voice was melodic and warm, speaking perfect English with just a hint of an accent that sounded like wind through leaves. "Hello, Marcus Webb," the being said, looking directly at him through the screen. "My name is Kira. I am the ambassador of the Aldery people, and I have come to speak with you." Marcus felt his heart racing. "Me? But why? I'm nobody special. I just work communications." Kira smiled, and something in that smile made Marcus feel a strange flutter of recognition, though he couldn't place where he might have seen her before. "You are more special than you know, Marcus Webb," she said gently. "I have waited many years for this moment. Tell me, do you remember me, Earthboy?" "I never forgot you." The room was completely silent. Marcus stared at the screen, his mind racing. He had never seen this being before in his life, he was certain of that. But something about her voice, her eyes, the way she called him Earthboy, stirred something deep in his memory. I don't understand," Marcus stammered. "I've never met you before." I've never met any aliens before." Kira's expression became gentle and sad. "Perhaps you have forgotten. You were very young and it was a difficult time for you. But I remember everything about that day in the forest when you were lost and afraid." Marcus felt the world tilt around him, the forest. When he was 8 years old, he had gotten lost in the woods during a family camping trip. He had been missing for 3 days before search teams found him. The memory was hazy and painful, mostly just fear, cold, and darkness. "How do you know about that?" he whispered. "Because I was there," Kira said simply. "I found you on the second night, crying and frightened. I stayed with you until you were safe. I promised you then that I would never forget you, Marcus Webb, and I have kept that promise." The room erupted in whispers and urgent conversations. Dr. Torres was already on the phone with government officials. Other technicians were frantically recording everything and running data analysis, but Marcus heard none of it. He was staring at Kira's face, and somewhere in the deepest part of his memory he could almost remember golden eyes watching over him in the darkness of the forest, and a gentle voice promising him that everything would be okay. "I don't remember," he said finally. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember you." Kira's smile never wavered. "That is all right, Marcus Webb. Memory is a fragile thing, especially when we are young and afraid. But I remember enough for both of us. And now, finally, I can tell you the truth about that night and why it changed everything." The transmission ended, leaving Marcus staring at a blank screen and wondering how his ordinary life had suddenly become the center of humanity's first contact with an alien species outside the communication center. The world watched and waited, not knowing that the future of human-alien relations now rested in the forgotten memories of a frightened 8-year-old boy and the promise made by a gentle alien who had never forgotten him. The next morning, Marcus woke up to find his house surrounded by news vans and government cars. Through his bedroom window, he could see reporters setting up cameras and officials in dark suits talking quietly into their phones. His simple life as a communications worker was over. Dr. Torres had called him at 6 in the morning. "Marcus, don't go anywhere today. The president's science team wants to meet with you in 2 hours. Every major government in the world is asking questions." Marcus made coffee with shaking hands. He kept thinking about Kira's golden eyes and her gentle voice calling him Earthboy. The memory of being lost in the forest was still hazy, but something about her face felt familiar in a way. That made his chest tight. His phone rang constantly. News reporters, government officials, and even his old-school friends were calling. Marcus turned it off and sat in his kitchen, staring at the wall. Exactly 10 o'clock, 3 black cars pulled up to his house. Agent Lisa Park, a tall woman, with sharp eyes and a serious expression, knocked on his door. "Mr. Webb, I'm Agent Park from the Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs. We need to talk." Marcus had never heard of the Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs, but he supposed they would need one now. They drove him to a secure government facility outside the city. The building was underground, with thick walls and no windows. Marcus was taken to a small room with a table, 2 chairs, and a large screen on the wall. "The alien ambassador has asked to speak with you again," Agent Park explained. "We want you to accept, but we need you to ask specific questions. Find out what she wants, why she chose you, and what her people are planning." Marcus nodded, though his stomach was churning with nervousness. The screen flickered to life, and Kira's face appeared. She looked exactly the same as yesterday, but somehow more real. Her golden skin seemed to glow softly, and her amber eyes were kind and patient. "Hello again, Marcus Webb," she said with that gentle smile. "I hope you are well. I know this must be difficult for you." I'm okay," Marcus replied, aware that several people were watching him from behind a 2-way mirror. "But I have questions. Everyone wants to know why you're here, why you chose me." Kira's expression became thoughtful. "I chose you because you are the only human I have ever known personally. You are my friend, even if you do not remember our friendship." But I don't remember you," Marcus said, frustration creeping into his voice. "I've tried, but I can't remember anything about meeting you in the forest." "That is because you were hurt and frightened," Kira explained gently. Your mind protected you by hiding the memory. But I can help you remember, if you wish. She closed her eyes for a moment, then began to speak in a soft, rhythmic voice. You were 8 years old? Your family was camping at Pine Ridge National Forest. You were wearing a red jacket and blue jeans with a hole in the knee. You had lost your favorite toy, a small wooden truck your grandfather had made for you. Marcus felt his breath catch. He did remember that truck. He had loved it dearly and had been heartbroken when he lost it during the camping trip. You wandered away from the campsite looking for your truck, Kira continued. You followed what you thought was a path, but it was just a deer trail. When you realized you were lost, you started calling for your parents, but no one answered. As she spoke, Marcus began to see flashes of memory, the tall trees overhead, the growing darkness, the cold that made his teeth chatter. You found a fallen log and sat behind it, trying to stay warm. You were crying and calling for your mother. That is when I found you. I remember being scared, Marcus whispered. I remember being so cold and hungry. You were shivering, Kira said, her voice full of compassion. You looked up at me with such brave eyes, even though you were frightened. You asked me if I was an angel. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. He could almost remember now, a shimmering figure in the darkness, warmth when there had been only cold. A gentle voice promising him that everything would be okay. You gave me food, he said suddenly, the memory becoming clearer. Something that tasted like honey and made me feel stronger. Kira smiled. You were so polite. You said thank you even though you were scared. You asked me my name and I told you, but you said it was too hard to say. So you called me Light Lady because of how I glowed in the dark. Light Lady, Marcus repeated, and suddenly he could remember sitting next to the fallen log, no longer afraid, talking to a beautiful being who made him feel safe. I stayed with you through the night, Kira said. We talked about many things. You told me about your family, your school, your dreams. You said you wanted to work with radios and computers when you grew up so you could talk to people far away. Marcus laughed despite his tears. I did become a communications worker. I know, Kira said warmly. I have been watching your world for many years. I have seen you grow up, go to school, get married, start your career. I have watched you become a good and kind man, Agent Park's voice came through a speaker. Ask her about her people's intentions. Marcus looked at the camera, then back at Kira. They want to know what your people are planning. Are you here to invade us? Kira's expression became serious. My people, the Aldari, are explorers and peacekeepers. We have been watching many worlds for thousands of years. We do not conquer or destroy, we observe and learn. But why reveal yourselves now? Marcus asked. Because your people are at a crossroads, Kira replied. You have developed technology that could destroy your world or lift you to the stars. We have seen this moment on many worlds. Some species choose wisdom and join the greater community of worlds. Others choose destruction and are lost. And you think we'll choose destruction? I think humans have great potential for both, Kira said honestly. That is why I broke the rules to contact you directly. I wanted to speak to the human race through someone I trust, someone who represents the best of your species. Marcus felt overwhelmed, but I'm nobody special. I'm just a regular person. That is exactly why you are special, Kira said with a gentle smile. You are kind, honest, and brave. You work hard and care about others. You are what most humans aspire to be. If I can trust you, then perhaps our species can learn to trust each other. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we begin the most important conversation in human history, Kira replied. But first I must tell you something that may change. Everything! I was not supposed to contact you that night in the forest. I was supposed to observe only. By helping you, I broke the most sacred law of my people. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean? It means that by acknowledging our friendship now, I have risked everything. My position, my freedom, perhaps even my life. But I could not let humanity face this moment alone, not when I know how brave and good you can be. The transmission ended, leaving Marcus staring at the dark screen. He realized that not only had his life changed forever, but Kira had risked everything just to help humanity through its greatest challenge. Agent Park entered the room, her expression grim. "Mr. Webb, we need to talk. This situation is more complicated than we thought." Marcus looked up at her, still processing everything Kira had told him. "She's in trouble because of me, isn't she?" "We think so," Agent Park replied. "And that might be the key to everything." 3 days after Marcus recovered his memories, the world changed again. This time, it wasn't just one alien ship. 7 more vessels appeared in Earth's orbit, arranged in a perfect circle around Kira's ship. These new ships were different, darker, more angular, with weapon ports that glowed with threatening energy. Marcus was in the underground facility when the alarms started blaring. Agent Park rushed into his room, her face pale with worry. "We have a problem," she said. "The new ships are sending a message. They want to speak with your alien friend." On the main screen, Marcus watched as the ships surrounded Kira's vessel. The formation looked like predators circling prey. His heart pounded with fear for the being who had once saved him as a scared little boy. "They're not here to help her, are they?" Marcus asked. "We don't think so," Agent Park replied. "We intercepted part of their communication. They're using words like trial and judgment." Marcus felt sick. "This is because of me, isn't it? Because she helped me in the forest?" Before Agent Park could answer, Marcus's personal terminal lit up with an incoming message. It was Kira, but she looked different now. Her golden skin was paler, and her amber eyes were filled with sadness. "Marcus Webb," she said softly, "I must speak with you one final time. The High Council of the Aldery has come to judge me for my actions." "What actions?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. "For breaking the prime law of our people," Kira explained. "We are forbidden from interfering with developing worlds. When I helped you in the forest, I changed the course of your life. When I chose to contact you directly instead of following proper diplomatic channels, I broke the law again." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "You saved my life. You helped me when I was lost and scared. How can that be wrong?" Kira's sad smile reminded him of that night in the forest. "The law exists for good reasons, Marcus Webb, throughout history. When advanced species interfere with younger ones, it often leads to disaster. Worlds have been destroyed, cultures have been lost, entire species have been corrupted or enslaved." "But you didn't do any of that," Marcus protested. "You just helped a lost child." "I know," Kira said gently. "But the Council sees it differently. They believe that by helping you, I planted the seeds of dependency. They think humans might come to rely on alien help instead of developing their own strength." Agent Park leaned forward. "What will happen to you?" "I will be removed from my position as ambassador," Kira replied. "I will be sent to a prison colony on the edge of our territory. I will spend the rest of my life in exile." "No," Marcus said, standing up so quickly that his chair fell over. "That's not fair. You can't be punished for being kind." "The Council has already decided," Kira said. "They are only allowing me this final conversation as a courtesy. In 1 hour, I will be taken aboard their ship." Marcus felt desperate. "Can't you fight this? Can't you appeal to someone?" "There is one way," Kira said slowly. "The Council has agreed to hear testimony from the human I helped. If you spoke for me, it might make a difference." "Then I'll do it," Marcus said immediately. "I'll tell them everything." "Marcus Webb, you do not understand," Kira said, her voice urgent. "The Council is not like your human courts. They are ancient beings who have lived for thousands of years. They do not think like humans do. They see emotions as weaknesses and personal connections as corruptions." "I don't care," Marcus said firmly. "You saved my life." "You risked everything to help humanity. I won't let you be punished for that." Agent Park touched his shoulder. "Marcus, think about this carefully. If you testify for her, you'll be speaking for all of humanity. What you say could affect our entire future relationship with these aliens." Marcus looked at the screen where Kira waited patiently. He remembered being 8 years old, lost and terrified in the dark forest. He remembered the warmth and safety he had felt when she found him. He remembered her gentle voice promising him that everything would be okay. "She kept her promise to me," Marcus said quietly. "She said she would never forget me, and she didn't. Now I need to keep my promise to her." "What promise?" Agent Park asked, and Marcus smiled for the first time in days. "I never told anyone this, but that night in the forest, before the rescue team found me, I promised the Light Lady that if I ever had a chance to help her, I would. I was 8 years old, and I thought I was talking to an angel, but I meant it." Kira's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like liquid gold. "You remember?" "I remember everything now," Marcus said. "I remember how you stayed with me all night, even though it was dangerous for you. I remember how you sang to me in your language to help me sleep. I remember how you guided the rescue team to find me without them knowing you were there." "The Council will not be impressed by sentiment," Kira warned. "They will test you. They will try to prove that your judgment is compromised by emotion." "Then I'll have to prove them wrong," Marcus said. "I'll show them that humans can be grateful without being dependent. I'll show them that kindness makes us stronger, not weaker." Agent Park was speaking rapidly into her phone, coordinating with world leaders. "Marcus, if you're going to do this, you need to understand the stakes. This isn't just about saving your friend. This is about proving that humanity is ready for contact with alien civilizations." "I know," Marcus said. "But isn't that what this was always about? Kira didn't just save me in the forest. She's been trying to save all of humanity by showing us that we can be better than we are." The screen flickered, and suddenly Marcus was looking at a different alien face. This one was tall and severe, with skin like polished silver and eyes like cold stars. When it spoke, its voice was like ice cracking. "Human Marcus Webb," it said. "I am High Judge Terran of the Aldery Council. You have requested to speak at the trial of the one called Kira. Do you understand that your words will be judged, not just for their truth, but for their wisdom?" Marcus felt a chill run down his spine, but he kept his voice steady. "I understand." "Then you will be brought aboard our vessel in 1 hour," Judge Terran said. "Prepare yourself, human. The future of your species may depend on what you say." The transmission ended, leaving Marcus alone with Agent Park and the weight of an impossible responsibility. "Are you sure about this?" Agent Park asked, and Marcus thought about the scared little boy he had been, and the kind alien who had risked everything to help him. He thought about Kira's gentle smile and her unwavering faith in humanity's potential. "I'm sure," he said. "Some things are more important than fear." Outside, the alien ships waited in the darkness of space, and Marcus prepared for the most important conversation of his life. The alien transport beam felt like stepping into warm honey. Marcus's body tingled as he was pulled up from the government facility into the Aldery Council ship. When the golden light faded, he found himself standing in a vast circular chamber that took his breath away. The walls were made of some crystal material that reflected light in patterns that seemed to move and dance. 7 tall beings sat in chairs that floated in the air, arranged in a perfect circle around the center of the room. Their skin ranged from silver to deep bronze, and their eyes held the wisdom of centuries. In the center of the circle stood Kira, but she looked different. Now, her golden skin had lost its warm glow, and her hands were bound with bands of light that pulsed with each heartbeat. She wore simple gray robes instead of her ambassador's clothing. "Human Marcus Webb," spoke Judge Terran, his voice echoing in the chamber. "You stand before the High Council of the Aldery. Do you swear to speak only truth?" Marcus felt his knees shaking, but he kept his voice steady. "I swear." "Then let the trial begin," Judge Terran announced. "Kira of the Aldery, you are accused of violating the Prime Law by interfering with a developing world. How do you answer?" Kira lifted her head proudly. "I do not deny the charges, High Judge. I helped a lost human child 27 years ago. I chose to contact humanity through him instead of following proper diplomatic channels. I accept full responsibility for my actions." Another council member, a female with skin like polished copper, leaned forward. "And do you understand that? Your actions could have corrupted an entire species?" That your interference might have made humans dependent on alien help instead of developing their own strength? I understand the concern, Kira replied. That I believe my actions prove the opposite. The human I helped grew strong and independent. He became a good person who helps others. Judge Terran's cold eyes fixed on Marcus. Human, you are here. Because the accused claims her interference made you better, not worse. Tell us about this night in the forest. Marcus took a deep breath and began to speak. He told them about being 8 years old, lost and scared in the dark woods. He described how frightened he had been, how he thought he might die alone in the cold. Then Kira found me, Marcus said, his voice growing stronger. She could have just watched me from a distance, like your laws say. She could have let me suffer and maybe die. But she chose to help. And you believe this was right? Asked Judge Terran. Yes, Marcus said firmly. Not because it saved my life, but because it showed me something important. It showed me that even strangers can care about each other. It taught me that kindness is stronger than fear. The copper-skinned council member spoke again. But did this not make you dependent on alien help? Did you not spend your life hoping for more contact with us? Marcus shook his head. No, I forgot about meeting Kira for most of my life. I built my own career, made my own friends, solved my own problems. But the lesson she taught me stayed with me even when I didn't remember where it came from. What lesson? Judge Terran demanded. That when someone needs help, you help them, Marcus said simply. That's what makes us human. Not our technology or our weapons, but our ability to care about others. A third council member, ancient and wise-looking, spoke for the first time. Yet humans are known for violence and cruelty. How do you explain this? Marcus felt a surge of anger, but he controlled it. Yes, humans do terrible things sometimes. We make mistakes. We hurt each other. But we also sacrifice our lives for strangers. We work together to solve problems. We create art and music and stories to share with each other. And you believe this is because of one alien's kindness? The Ancient One asked. No, Marcus said. I believe humans are naturally good, but we sometimes forget how to show it. Kira didn't make me kind. She reminded me that kindness exists in the universe. She showed me that different species can understand each other. Judge Terran stood up, his silver form towering over Marcus. You speak of kindness and understanding, but what of strength? What of independence? Has humanity not become weaker by relying on alien contact? Marcus looked directly at the High Judge. Your Honor, with respect, I think you're asking the wrong question. A gasp went through the chamber. No one had ever challenged Judge Terran directly. The question isn't whether humans are strong or weak, Marcus continued. The question is whether we can be trusted. And I think the answer is yes, because of what Kira taught me. Explain, Judge Terran said, his voice dangerously quiet. Kira broke your laws to help me, Marcus said. And now I'm breaking my own people's expectations by risking everything to help her. We're both choosing to do what's right instead of what's safe. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing anyone can do. The chamber fell silent. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat and the soft hum of the ship's engines. Finally, the ancient council member spoke. Human Marcus Webb, what would you say? If we told you that saving Kira means accepting a harder path for your species, that protecting her means humanity must prove itself worthy of joining the galactic community? Marcus looked at Kira, who was watching him with tears in her golden eyes. Then he looked back at the council. I would say that's exactly what humanity needs, he said. Not an easy path, but a worthy one. Kira didn't just save my life in that forest. She saved my soul. She showed me that the universe is full of people worth caring about, even if they look different from me. Judge Terran exchanged glances with the other council members. And if we demand proof of humanity's worthiness? If we require your species to demonstrate wisdom and restraint before full contact? Then we'll prove it, Marcus said confidently, because that's what friends do for each other. They help each other become better. The High Judge studied Marcus for a long moment. You realize that if we accept your testimony, Kira will not be the only one judged by her actions. Humanity itself will be tested. I understand, Marcus said. But I also know that humans are ready for that test. Not because we're perfect, but because we're willing to try. Because we have people like Kira to learn from, and because we have the courage to choose kindness over fear. The council members began to whisper among themselves in their musical language. Marcus stood quietly, his heart pounding, knowing that the next few minutes would determine not just Kira's fate, but the future of two entire species. Kira looked at him across the chamber and mouthed the words, "Thank you." Marcus smiled back, remembering the scared little boy who had once promised to help the Light Lady if he ever could. Now, finally, he was keeping that promise. The council deliberated for what felt like hours, though Marcus knew it was probably only minutes. Their musical language filled the crystal chamber as they debated in voices too quick and complex for him to understand. Kira stood motionless in the center, her golden eyes fixed on Marcus with a mixture of hope and fear. Finally, Judge Terran raised his hand and the chamber fell silent. "We have reached a decision," he announced, his silver form glowing in the crystalline light. "But first, human Marcus Webb, we must tell you something that may change your perspective." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "What do you mean?" The ancient council member who had questioned him earlier spoke in a gentler voice. "Kira was not the only one of our people to help human children over the years. There have been others." "Others," Marcus repeated, confused. 17 other Aldery scouts have had similar encounters with lost or endangered human children over the past century, Judge Terran explained. Each time they chose compassion over law. Each time they helped when they should have only observed. Marcus felt the world shift around him. "You mean?" "We mean that what you call kindness, we have been studying as a phenomenon," the copper-skinned council member said. "For 100 years, we have watched these incidents occur. We have observed the children who were helped, tracking their lives to see the results." Kira's eyes widened in surprise. "You knew? All this time you knew about the others?" Judge Terran's expression softened slightly. "We knew, Kira of the Aldery. We have been conducting the longest study in our species. History. We wanted to understand if contact between our peoples could be beneficial rather than harmful." "And what did you learn?" Marcus asked, his voice barely a whisper. The Ancient One smiled for the first time. "We learned that humans who encounter Aldery kindness do not become dependent. Instead, they become kinder themselves. They grow up to be teachers, doctors, rescue workers, and communicators like yourself. They become the best examples of what humanity can be." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "So this whole trial was not just about Kira's punishment, Judge," Terran said. "It was about determining whether humanity is ready for the truth. Ready to know that we have been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment." Kira's bonds of light dissolved, and she stood free for the first time since the trial began. "Then what is your decision?" Judge Terran looked at each council member, then back at Marcus and Kira. "Our decision is this. Kira of the Aldery is not guilty of breaking our laws. She was following a deeper law, the law of compassion that connects all intelligent life." The chamber erupted in harmonious tones as the other council members voiced their agreement. "Furthermore," Judge Terran continued, "we named Kira as the first permanent ambassador to Earth. She will work with humans to build a new kind of relationship between our species, one based on friendship rather than fear." Marcus felt like his knees might give out. "And humanity? What happens to us?" The ancient council member stood and walked to the center of the chamber. "Humanity will face the trial of worth, as all species must before joining the galactic community. But you will not face it alone. You will have guides and friends to help you." "What kind of trial?" Marcus asked. "You will be given challenges that test your wisdom, your compassion, and your ability to work together," the council member explained. "Some species have taken centuries to pass these trials. Others have never succeeded. But we believe humans have a unique advantage," Judge Terran added. "You have already learned the most important lesson, that different species can care for each other across any divide." Kira walked over to Marcus, her face glowing with joy and relief. "Marcus Webb, you kept your promise? You saved not just me, but the future of both our peoples." I had a good teacher, Marcus replied, smiling through his tears. Someone once showed me that kindness is the strongest force in the universe. The ancient council member approached them both. There is one more thing. Marcus Webb, your people, will need a spokesperson during the trials ahead. Someone who understands both human nature and Althari wisdom. Will you accept the role of cultural ambassador? Marcus looked at Kira, then back at the council. What would that mean? It means leaving your old life behind, Judge Taryn said honestly. It means working with Kira to help humanity navigate the challenges ahead. It means becoming a bridge between two worlds. Marcus thought about his quiet job at the communications center, his simple apartment, his ordinary life. Then he thought about the scared little boy in the forest and the gentle alien who had saved him. He thought about all the children who had been helped over the years, growing up to make the world a better place. I accept, he said without hesitation. The council members stood and began to sing in their musical language, a song of celebration and new beginnings. The crystal walls of the chamber glowed brighter, reflecting the light in patterns that looked like stars being born. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the new Earth-Althari Cultural Center, watching through a massive window. As construction crews from both species worked together to build humanity's first interstellar communication array, the sight still amazed him, humans and Althari working side by side, sharing knowledge and friendship. The first trial begins next week, Kira said, joining him at the window. She wore the ceremonial robes of a permanent ambassador, but her golden skin still glowed with the same warmth he remembered from that night in the forest. Are you nervous? Marcus asked. A little, Kira admitted. But I have faith in humanity. You have already shown such growth in just these few months, Marcus smiled. We have good teachers. Outside, a group of human children were playing with young Althari in the center's garden. Their laughter filled the air, the sound of two species learning to be friends. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't helped me that night? Marcus asked. Kira considered this seriously. I think someone else would have helped you. Perhaps not an Althari, but someone. Kindness finds a way, Marcus Webb. It always has, even across the stars. Especially across the stars, Kira replied. That is what we are proving here. That friendship is stronger than fear, that understanding is more powerful than prejudice, and that love can bridge any distance. Marcus nodded, watching the children play together below. I never forgot you either, you know. Even when I couldn't remember your face or your name, I never forgot the feeling of being safe when I was scared. And I never forgot the brave little boy who said thank you to a strange alien in the dark, Kira replied. You taught me as much as I taught you that night. As the sun set over the cultural center, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, that reminded Marcus of Kira's eyes. He realized that some promises are worth keeping for a lifetime. Some friendships can survive anything, even time, space, and the fear of the unknown. The future stretched ahead of them, full of challenges and wonders yet to be discovered. But whatever came next, humanity would not face it alone. They had friends among the stars, and that made all the difference. In the garden below, the children continued to play, their laughter carrying on the wind like a song of hope for tomorrow.